Husband abandons wife with cancer. What happens next will shock you. It was a crisp autumn morning in the quiet town of Willow Creek, Illinois, when Olivia Taylor received the phone call that changed her life. At 32, she had a routine: wake up early, drink green tea, and open the small bookstore she ran with her husband, David. But that morning, something felt different. She sat on the edge of the bed in their cozy, sunlit room, staring at the buzzing phone. "Ms. Taylor, this is Dr. Weiss," said the voice on the other end. "I'm afraid your biopsy results came back. It's breast cancer. Stage 2. We need to act quickly." Olivia's breath caught in her throat. Her fingers curled around the blanket as tears welled up in her eyes. Cancer. The word sounded like a sentence. Her first instinct was to tell David. They had been married for 5 years, through thick and thin, or so she believed. He had always been the one to promise. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together." But as she spoke the words, trembling and raw, his reaction stunned her. "Cancer?" he repeated. I can't do this, Olivia." She blinked. "What do you mean?" "I'm not built for this kind of thing. Hospitals, chemotherapy, watching you fade. I just can't. David, I need you. I'm sorry, I need out." That night he packed a duffel bag, left his wedding ring on the kitchen counter, and walked out. No goodbye, no explanation, just silence. The following weeks were a blur of hospital visits, blood tests, and brutal chemotherapy sessions. Olivia felt like her world had collapsed. She lost weight, her thick chestnut hair, and the vibrant smile she used to carry everywhere. Customers stopped seeing her at the bookstore. Whispers spread around town. Some said David had moved to another state. Others claimed he was seen with someone else just days after leaving. Olivia didn't care. She had no room left for pain. Every ounce of energy was focused on survival, and slowly she started to rebuild. Not just her health, but herself. One afternoon, as she sat by the window of her now-closed bookstore, she heard a knock. It was Ava Rodriguez, a single mother from the neighborhood who used to frequent the store with her son. "I heard what happened," Ava said, placing a homemade casserole on the counter. "You don't have to go through this alone." Soon more neighbors stopped by. Flowers, soup, cards. A retired teacher brought Olivia warm-knitted scarves. A group of high school students offered to clean the store. It was as if the entire town had chosen to be the family she had lost. They rallied around her, not out of pity, but out of something deeper: love. By the end of her second round of chemotherapy, Olivia was still standing. Her oncologist, Dr. Weiss, smiled during a follow-up scan. "You're responding better than expected. Keep fighting." She did. Through every painful injection and sleepless night, she kept going. One evening, she stood in front of her mirror, bald and pale, and whispered to herself, "You are more than what was taken from you." 3 months later, she was declared in remission. It was a quiet victory, but she celebrated it with Ava and a few close friends in the bookstore. They reopened the place not just as a bookstore, but as a community hub, a place for support groups, book clubs, and cancer awareness events. Olivia began speaking at local schools, churches, and hospitals, sharing her story with anyone who needed hope. She used her pain as fuel, her voice as a lifeline for others drowning in silence. One afternoon, while organizing a fundraiser event, Olivia received an email from a New York-based wellness foundation. They had heard about her efforts in Willow Creek and wanted to feature her in their nationwide campaign, Faces of Strength. At first, Olivia hesitated. She didn't feel like a hero, but something told her this was bigger than her. She flew to New York, did the interview, and within a week, her video had over 2 million views. People from across the country reached out: cancer survivors, caregivers, people abandoned just like her. Her message? You may have been broken, but you are not defeated. You are not alone. She was offered a book deal to write her journey. A major podcast invited her to co-host a series on resilience. Olivia's voice became a force. Her bookstore turned community center began receiving donations and visitors from out of state. It was more than she ever imagined. And then, one rainy afternoon, David walked back into the store. He looked different, older, tired, like a man haunted by regrets. I saw your video, he said, eyes heavy. I had no idea you were so strong. Olivia stared at him for a long time. You didn't stay long enough to find out. He lowered his head. I came to say I'm sorry. I was afraid. I was selfish. I know I don't deserve anything, but I miss what we had. She looked around at the shelves, at the photos of her and the town's children, the thank you notes pinned on the walls. What we had is gone, she said softly, but what I have now is real. David stood in silence. He waited for an invitation, a door to reopen, but it never came. That night, Olivia wrote a blog post that went viral again. She titled it, The Day He Returned. I forgave him, she wrote, but I didn't need him back, because I found strength in the people who stayed, in the strangers who became family, and in the woman I became through fire. A year later, Olivia stood on the TEDx stage in Chicago. She told her story not as a victim, but as a survivor. As the crowd stood and applauded, tears streaming down faces, she felt the final piece of herself heal. She had once been a woman abandoned in her darkest hour. Now she was a beacon for thousands lighting their way through the storm.